big burdens on his shoulders, and he fought the CIA tooth and nail for a period of 20 years, and really did a number on them. We wouldn't have been as far in the information war against one of the public's main adversaries in the information war, the Central Intelligence Agency. Their job is to, essentially Operation Mockingbird. Is one of the most revealing CIA documents. It just shows the control and the level that they go to. They have people and agents of influence in every media organization in the United States, and that includes Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, so so another thing we want to talk about, Operation Mockingbird. So they control all the news. They control all the media through Operation Mockingbird. So this is why there's Illuminati conspiracy theories, because they have agents of influence inside every news organization. They're giving, of course, they get news and information from the CIA. They get confirmed, and then they also get this information fed to them, and they have to copy it and post it and spread propaganda for the CIA always, and they'll cover up stuff for them and get stuff censored and taken off the web and whatever else. But anyways, so that's a good introduction to that. Family Secrets by a guy named Russ Baker. That's another good book to read on the whole Bush family and the Bush connection to the JFK assassination. That's another rabbit hole you could go down with the conspiracy theories on the JFK assassination. As Lee Harvey Oswald was a CIA agent at Atsugi Air Force Base. He worked for the CIA. He worked actually for a guy named David Ferry at the Air National Guard, and before he joined the military, I think as a reserve. And so he was captured CIA through David Ferry, who later was a contact of his while he was pre-agent up to the JFK assassination, which basically they traced down all the people, all the agents that were, years have gone by since the JFK assassination. So people who haven't done the research should on the case and not listen to all the shows and all the liars from New York that wrote the definitive book on ending the conspiracies on JFK assassination anyways, David Ferry. There's a whole bunch of guys like this. George DeMoore was another name you should look up.
Yeah, I'm back. Well, I'm watching this. I thought I'm going to stick a stream on as well.
Assassination. Research and stuff on that. And I have a whole bunch of stuff about that on my website as well. But that's the JFK assassination. A lot of those
2 a.m., yeah.
JFK, also JFK's lover, Marilyn Monroe.
Well, I've got nothing to do, man. There's nothing I can do.
Marilyn Monroe. So, apparently Marilyn Monroe overheard some bedroom talk.
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
And JFK, and a whole bunch of other people. Summer love, anyways, she knew all kinds of stuff.
She was suicided.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories that she was killed and assassinated by the CIA because of what she knew. But more so, what she was telling a friend of hers named Dorothy Kilgallen, who was a reporter. It also got whacked that not a lot of people know about unless they really research the UFO file, the UFO stuff. So Dorothy Kilgallen, big into UFO stuff, connects kind of JFK with some deep aerospace stuff in the UFO file. And some people that were involved in some of that stuff back then, including I mentioned the two organizations.
Still can't get on my other channel, man.
We can get into that later. But Dorothy Kilgallen, so anyways, Dorothy Kilgallen and a bunch of other people. Then RFK, let's get into RFK. So RFK,
Yeah, how's it done?
By a guy named Sirhan, the hypnotized Manchurian candidate Patsy, and he was waiting there with the gun. He saw the one with the polka dot dress that put him into the stance, and he was just programmed to fire the gun and empty the gun when RFK came in. Of course, the autopsy on RFK shows that he was killed by a single bullet wound to the back of the head from behind. When Sirhan was in front of him when he walked into the kitchen, Sirhan was right in front of him. So the bullet that killed him, there was extra bullets in the room, and the security guard that was escorting him in
shot himself in the back of the head, yeah.
The room when it happened was a guy named Thane Eugene Caesar, who it turns out was a security guard at Lockheed Martin that had been called over, as extra security to work at the Ambassador Hotel for security that night. So, what a perfect coincidence that, Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, security guard gets set up as the assassin, and shoots him one bullet in the back of the head, as the confusion's going on in front, everyone's pointing with this hand to the front. That's what he did, and then he had a little revolver right behind RFK's head and popped him right in the back of the head as he was pretending to grab him and take him to the ground. And,
Robert Kennedy.
There were two other people at the hotel that night that took the gun and got rid of it. And there's footage from the Ambassador Hotel.
This dude's
CIA
phenomenal.
agents at the Ambassador Hotel. And the two guys' names, if you want to know who they are, I know them off the top of my head. They're George Joannides. George Joannides. He was there at the Ambassador Hotel, helped get rid of the gun. One of the top CIA black operations and assassinations experts. And another guy named David Sanchez Morales. Okay? So, anyone that wants to do some research, there's some names. So you go and check out. And there's also another great site that I learned a lot of this stuff called Spartacus. JFK assassination.
Yeah, good camp, bro.
So Spartacus Educational. Yeah.
Bro, he has a full file of disclosure.
JFK
He has a full zip file full of stuff that he's sharing.
JFK assassination, down to the woman that got him the job at the School Book Depository building.
Really knows his stuff.
The Paines and how they knew George Moore and Shield.
He's doing his own research into anti-gravity, bro. He's got all the files on anti-gravity, bro. On anti-gravity patents, anti-gravity tech, anti-gravity scientists. He knows it all.
Jack Ruby, who was Nixon.
He's got his own lab. There's a laboratory.
Mac Wallace, who was JFK, LBJ's hitman. Mac Wallace, is another name to look up. Mac Wallace. Supposedly Mac Wallace was the rifleman that took the shot, scene that basically played Lee Harvey Oswald up in the top. Malcolm Wallace was allegedly the guy up in the tower, up in the playing Lee Harvey Oswald. There was a guy named Lucien Sarti. I guess they flew into some French assassinations. Allegedly, it was one.
Yeah, bro.
There's a whole bunch.
It's a really interesting channel. And he's bang on the. He knows it inside out.
He's another disinformation guy, just like the people that say that.
You would be amazed how many files have been released that confirm the existence of anti-gravity and anti-gravity research and everything else. It's all been leaked. It's all been released, bro. Just people don't look.
It's not a guy.
And he's got it all on a file.
Everything. Some of these videos, and it's just that's disinformation. But anyways, it gets a lot of people distracted. It's one of those side things that get purposely to get people distracted. So, anyways, Mike Rupert wrote a book called Crossing the Rubicon. He wrote a lot about the CIA drug trafficking. Another guy that wrote about it was a guy named Terry Reid. Terry Reid wrote a book about called Compromised and also the MENA Connection. The media connection is interesting in all this because it kind of gives us an idea of how the presidents have all been elected in a deep state fashion. You know, because who was Bill Clinton? You know, where did Bill Clinton and Hillary come from? You know, everyone wants to, Bill and Hillary Clinton. They came from a Rose law firm. They were lawyers for a law firm, and then they got involved with some people that were running drugs there. The CIA, basically, this guy Barry Seal was running the whole operation through there and needed a lawyer.
He got killed by the Clintons.
One thing led to another. He ran for governor. Won the governorship. Was he governor of Arkansas? It was Arkansas. That's where, like, it was this weird state, and they were running drugs into it because,
Arkansas.
You look on
It was.
On a map, right? It's in this perfect location. So they're flying into Mena, Arkansas. They teamed up with. If you watch anyone watch Narcos, right? Yeah, people keep getting lost, right? So it's been so long since I've researched this stuff, but I want to get people to get into this because anyone watched this show Narcos, right? So Narcos, there was this one episode of Narcos where suddenly he gets diverted, flies to Nicaragua, and caught in this drug exchange with this CIA agents, and you don't really see much of it anymore after that. But that was a real thing that was going on. If you read Gary Webb's book, what Gary Webb talks about is what's happening is that the Medellin cartel in Medellin, Colombia had kind of taken over, and they were looking for all these ways to ship drugs into the country. All right, so this kind of started back, actually. The drug dealing stuff goes back. It goes way back to a company called Russell and Company. This is real deep state stuff. If people want to research it, I'll send this to your grandmother so that she can learn about it, and open the conversation up a little bit, because everyone's starting to ask, like, what is the conspiracy? What are these conspiracies? And the media is lying their asses off and saying, because I talk to these people like, oh, well, what are you conspiracy theorists? Or you're a conspiracy theorist? What do you even think? Like, I can't.
Two boys died as well.
On what anyone believes anymore, what anyone thinks. It's like, yes, the whole thing's been like mixed and matched and mumbled, and people like David Wilcox and all these liars have just came in and screwed everything up real bad for the last 4 years, especially under Trump. It's been like real fascism. It's like, part of me is glad to have that over, but then I worry about Biden because he's just another one of these deep state guys. He was heavily involved in keeping a lot of this stuff going, and it's going to continue under him unless it gets exposed and really brought forth, and these people brought to justice. Because his son had those videos of him smoking crack cocaine and surface. So we know that drugs are a problem, and it needs something that needs to be addressed. And the deep state connection to it just needs to be brought out. It needs to be talked about openly. It needs to be like, just what the hell is it? Why can't we just be honest about this? Like, it's a serious problem, and people want to get high, and people want all drugs to be legalized, and the government's like, no, fuck you guys, we're making too much money off it. We always have been, and that's fucking just how it is. And sorry for the swearing, but
so something they shouldn't have.
These guys have dealt drugs in this country for, like, it goes back to Russell and Company, one of the first opium importers. They were the largest trading house in the mid-19th century in China.
Wow.
Took part in the opium wars, basically. This guy was, moved to Connecticut, was running this country, in New York, basically importing opium and getting people addicted to opium. And then when that went out, and the laws started coming out with that, they acetylized it.
Yeah, they were running coke into Arkansas, apparently.
They acetylized it, and they rebranded it. That was called heroin. And then when they first released heroin on the market, they labeled it as a safe alternative and a safe painkiller that was like, it wasn't as addictive as morphine.
It was addictive as morphine.
It was way more addictive.
Because it was way more addictive than morphine.
Again,
Bro, I've drunk bottles. I had more. Last year.
It's quite interesting to do that, to do a deep dive into all that stuff. The Russell and Company was one of, is another, it's very interesting if you trace back the people too. If you go through the lineage and find out where their children are at today, and what kind of things their children and predecessors and stuff have been involved in. If you go through the lineage and find out where, all these rich people that have been involved in all these dirty operations are kind of like the same families, and they're kind of all same connected. It's kind of like the cartels in Medellin, Colombia. Also, another thing of interest with Medellin, Colombia is Zapata offshore.
I had a lot of fentanyl patches as well, bro. I was chewing them. 50 microgram fentanyl patches. I got £5 for a box of 5, and I got 6 boxes. I had 30 or 40, sorry, 30. No, it was 50. How much? 30, 40 or 50 fentanyl patches, bro. I only paid 20 quid for them. The woman didn't have a clue what they were. And I bought all the morphine. It was just a 1 milligram per milliliter, I think, bro. Morphine's never strong, bro. I've never found morphine strong.
Starting in the
tastes horrible as well.
And definitely throughout the 80s, right? And 70s. So there's a little bit of history involved in this as well. So Batista was in charge.
Yeah, I lost 3 months, bro.
In Cuba, right?
I had to fucking redo a module and everything.
Cuban Revolution, right?
Not again. I won't be doing that again, bro. I swear down.
Fulgencio Batista was
I won't be doing that again.
Dictator in charge of the military dictatorship in charge of the country.
Oh man,
And,
those fentanyl patches fentanyl was the nicest drug I've ever had, bro. I had heaven on those patches for about 2 or 3 weeks. I was just chewing them, man. They were everywhere. They were in my hair, chewed up in my hair. They were fucking on my face, all under my cushions. They were fucking everywhere. Bits of green, like green chewing gum.
Cayman Islands are one of these.
Fucking dangerous as well. Pure morphine powder, yeah. Wow.
It was a big place for money laundering operations. A lot of.
You're coming out there now.
And stuff of that nature. So when Batista got kicked out and Fidel Castro
Come and say.
over in 1952, the CIA was pissed because of course, all the deep state was relying on all that money and a lot of that like resources and stuff, and a lot of these guys. Meyer Lansky and some of these other mafia, like deep state mafia,
Oh, I had these pills as well, a bit like oxycodone. They were fucking mad, these pills. I can't remember what they were. They were wild, the pills I had. I was so wrecked off them. There was someone had died who had cancer, and someone must have got all the meds, Boy, were they strong.
Russia almost caused the Cuban Missile Crisis, almost caused the whole end of the world.
There's a lot more Peltrium.
I'm mentioning too much stuff to be typing it that fast, but I just want to give you geographics then. So Cuban Missile Crisis, they had these silos that they found on the satellites that almost caused this World War II, but the CIA was planning this whole invasion, the Bay of Pigs invasion, and they were using the Zapata oil rigs. The first oil drilling rig platforms were being used as staging platforms. And I remember having the G.I. Joe oil rig thing back in the 80s. And I never realized that, holy shit, this was based on, real secret operations that they were doing back in the 50s. On the whole Bay of Pigs thing and later on in the 60s. Right? So the Bay of Pigs happened later on. So this was back in 52. That all that happened. And there was numerous operations throughout the 50s. JM Wave was one of the CIA operations in Cuba. There was one of the stations, that that was in charge of CIA and intelligence and stuff. And a lot of these guys show up in the JFK assassination and were linked to it because the whole thing with the Bay of Pigs, the whole Bay of Pigs thing, that's what basically triggered the whole JFK assassination. And a lot of that, if you look back through the history, a lot of the deep state operators that were involved in this. And these
Injectable little tablets.
Later,
Very close to heroin.
Key guys in the JFK assassination, including Frank Sturgis.
Look it up.
Frank Anthony Sturgis. Another guy was E. Howard Hunt.
Dextromoramide. Fuck.
He's one of the deepest guys that
A powerful opioid analgesic, 3 times more potent than morphine.
Said that.
Wow.
His lawyer made some interesting comments, I'll say. It's related to the UFO file.
Same guy who discovered fentanyl.
Basically says that the UFO files is our deepest intelligence. In any case, this is just a sample of this stuff and how it all connects, and how a lot of this is
Wow, extra
anyway,
dangerous.
Let's connect it. So they were running these flights from Colombia. They were doing these oil platforms, and they were bringing it into the oil barges originally, and that was one of the first ways.
Wow.
They were doing it. And then when that didn't, that continued for a number of years. That's been going on with the oil pipeline being a key conduit for drugs into
Pallium.
the States through CIA drug teams.
Palfium.
But one of the ways that they were doing it back then is they would fly direct from Colombia or Nicaragua, right? So they'd make a stop-off point in Nicaragua where they...
How addictive and important it is.
Nicaragua at the time for the CIA. And they were fighting...
Less severe withdrawal. Interesting, yeah.
Well. But they were fighting the Civil War, so they were shipping computers from California to Nicaragua.
Yeah, fentanyl's the best drug ever, I think. It's the best drug I've ever had. But definitely the most dangerous. It's not for fucking novices. It's not to be messed with fentanyl. Like, you've got to fucking know what you're doing. I was lucky, bro. I nearly died on it. I nearly overdosed on it.
He was one of the big CIA drug dealers for that
I was lucky.
Caught up in that Iran-Contra thing. If you guys look it up. He was dealing to one of the main drug dealers in Los Angeles, which was a guy named Freeway Ricky Ross. Not the Rick Ross, the rapper, but the real Ricky Ross. Freeway Ricky Ross was selling. He opened the Walmart of crack cocaine in Los Angeles in the 80s. And that's what all those people were mad about in confronting CIA Director John Deutsch over in that video we showed earlier. Oscar Danilo Blandon was the dealer apparently, and he was connected to. There's a bunch of people, but it connects also to Oliver North.
Yeah.
And he was in charge of the White House's operation and overseeing a lot of the liaisons between us all. So Oliver North.
I'm hungry. 2 seconds. I want to see what it's going.
He's not like a media pundit or something, right? Is he still around? Do they still let him actually talk in the media? Do people actually, because he was hailed as this military guy and a senior statesman for certain country. I mean, this guy was like a deep state criminal extraordinaire, and they tried to bring him back out. I don't know if he's still on it here, but he's one of the ones that you always have to watch out. You always have to watch out for things that he's been involved in, people that he's been involved in. So for sure, but. Anyways, the BCCI, that was another thing that came up that I showed for a second. The Bank of Credit and Commerce International, which is another interesting thing to research. It was founded in 1972 by Agna Hassan. It was this Pakistani bank, and it was basically this bank that was used by all the drug dealers and all the deep state guys to launder money and send money around the world. And, it was quite the bank that they had going there. But anyways, when it all came down, and they had a big. When did Rudy Giuliani get involved in the so. You won't find this in here. It's all been wiped from the record, but the company that there was a, I mean, you can find this. You will find this. You have to dig a little bit. But the company, there was a law firm called White and Case. Okay, and the White and Case law firm is where Rudy Giuliani got his start. Rudy Giuliani was a prosecutor for New York City, and he was prosecuting White. He was prosecuting the Bank of Credit Commerce International back in the day. But this was early, when he was, before he was mayor. This was a long time ago. So he was a prosecutor in New York City. And he started prosecuting this case against this deep state bank, and that's when he got tapped because he got involved. He got involved in a whole world of stuff that was going on. Barry Seal was running cocaine for the U.S. government. He was running into Neenah, Arkansas, and Bill Clinton was working as the governor there as a cover for the whole operation. And that's why he got tapped to become the president, years later, as his assistant to the law firm, and him and Hillary, and their desire to proclaim the fortune and glory to work with the deep state and the CIA and come out of nowhere to win that election as this funny good guy. Who's Bill Clinton? He's this big liar getting blowjobs under his desk and shitting on the Constitution and doing all this crazy deep state stuff behind the scenes. And nobody knows. Everyone thinks about the Clinton. You're talking bad about the Clintons, and it's all mixed up in politics now. Nobody sees the deep state. And this is what I research: is the deep state connections, and this is more important about who these people are than any of your stupid political circus bullshit. The deep state is the only real state that exists in this country, and the more you research this and understand the deep state, but I hate arguing with this. A lot of people I argue with.
Hello, Sonia.
What are you talking about, deep state? Let's talk about the deep state. The deep state is
Just chilling watching videos.
actually comes from Turkey. And in Turkey, what happened is they arrested they went to go arrest some scandal. They busted some scandal, and they found that this prostitute was tied to this drug dealer that was tied to all this really crazy underworld criminal stuff, top underworld criminal stuff that was all tied to the government. So the police were they can do nothing about it because it's
Sonia.
now you're in political boundaries, and the people that you cover or come in contact with or have higher influence in your department. So what do you do as a police officer when you're faced with that? These people have more power than you do. So this happens.
It was cold here this morning as well. I was freezing when I got up.
If you go into the research on what a deep state is and what the deep state means, it's just this overlapping, it's overlapping.
I'm going crazy.
Tied up intertangling in international affairs, and it still goes on to this day. Don't know all the details of what's going on today, but I'm sure in another 10, 20 years it'll be.
Yeah, it's somewhere where you are, innit? Somewhere in Australia.
It's sad because
You're pointing at the sun.
So advantage to be a privilege to be living in those conditions. There's really no incentive to come forward to be one of these guys. Barry Seal, he was going to talk, and then what would happen if he got gunned down before he could show up before he testify. So it's pretty crazy. So Alex Jones, he went really, he did some good documentaries, decent documentaries. They're always a little hyped up and angry and a little bit political back in the day.
Nothing. Just we're locked down, Sonia. Can't go anywhere. Nothing's open. Can't visit anyone. No one can visit me.
For so many years, I totally agree. It was just about, it wasn't about real conspiracies and real conspiracy theories. It was just about sensational news and whatever would good for you to get views and whatever was popular at the time.
Nothing that hot.
Sandy Hook happened. He used that on a freaking.
Well, that's good. After the year you've had over there, Stu, I bet you're pleased it's not been a hot summer.
Insist that I need to look into it and have another research.
Yeah, you were on fire last summer, I know. Crazy that, like.
Here's what you should have stuck to, if anything, and really pinned a lot of questions I still have about 9/11, researching 9/11 for 16 years, and I still have a ton of questions about that. So, this was not a conspiracy, man. I don't like, there's no evidence for that. And the people that started all this crisis actor bullshit.
Yeah, that's not true.
With the Boston bombing, it was absolutely laughable. It was like, I went and found the people that they alleged to be crisis actors, and I went and found their families. And, Jeff Bauman, right? I found their families, found these people, and like, they're real people, bro. They're not like actors. Like, this guy didn't have the life before and then faked this whole accident. None of this stuff. All this stuff was real. Like, all these allegations that these people made were fake. Stuff that, the stuff that Alex Jones was saying. I did a video on the Boston bombing. If you look at me, scientist, Boston bombing.
It'll probably happen, Sonia.
I don't even know if you can find my video on this.
When you get that news strain.
I go to my page and look it up and find it. But I did a video on the Boston bombing. I did 2 of them, and Alex Jones was spreading this whole conspiracy theory about the Boston bombing being these guys.
I would.
I did the whole video on it, and I showed his conspiracy theory.
I'm pretty sure I would, bro.
Identified who these agents were that says the bomb and the gas and all these things.
That's just too hot. 40 degrees and shit.
I still had like people calling me a shill and telling me that like I didn't know what I was talking about. I went up to Boston the day the city reopened. They did like my own like photograph on the street grounds investigation, and people were still telling me it was fake bombs and it was all actors. And like, I don't know what to say. It's like, and these people like were so like stupid and hooked up with fake conspiracies, but like they could literally go to action over that stuff. And that's fake information.
Really, Sonia.
It's like completely.
I hope it gets better for you.
Like, how could people like take something that's so not true, not verified?
You're going well.
Use that, like,
No strict lockdown.
thinking to just go after their families and start harassing the victims' families.
It must just be all of Europe that's locked down.
Using them to be crisis actors. And the shooting that stuff. Yeah, he was for that. It's absolutely ruined him. It's the worst thing he possibly could have done. And yeah, he should have never. I don't know what happened. I was like, I was really confused at the field at that time because these people were Luke Rutkowski's another one. He kind of like started out as this guy who was going around and going and confronting all these big, New World Order deep state players. He used to confront all these people on camera, and now like they took his platform away and stuff. But he didn't pay attention to a lot of my research either. That's the stuff that I was finding out, and that I've kind of been closed off to a lot of these people, and it's a shame. We kind of do our own research, our own interactions, and there's some overlap. Journalists is another one. On this show, or on my show, talking about stuff. Joseph Farrell, I almost got.
Yeah, hopefully for you, Sonia.
He's another big conspiracy theorist over at he'sadeathstar.com. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that Joseph Farrell says, though. I think that's where DJ is going quite wrong, and I think that's maybe hopefully becoming more apparent to DJ as this John Trump thing fizzles out. Because there was hope. He was really pumping this idea that John Trump, who's it? it? Donald Trump. Who's Donald Trump's uncle, right? With that had the Tesla file, supposedly. He's saying that Donald Trump's got the Tesla file. John G. Trump, right? So apparently John G. Trump's got the Tesla file, and that's Trump's uncle or whatever, and there's a bunch of there's a conspiracy here, including Joseph Farrell, who's got this guy, dark journalist Daniel Litz, convinced. So dark journalist, he's another big channel. Most people should know about dark journalist. If they study,
yes, definitely, Sonia.
Yeah, so you can go look up dark journalist. But anyways, John G. Trump is supposedly, they're alleging this conspiracy that John G. Trump's got that Vannevar Bush and the Varian brothers were the ones who got the Roswell material, and that they got all the access to the UFO file and all the UFO secrets, and that Trump was supposed to, Trump supposedly had this stuff and knew all about it to his uncle, and that they were gonna unleash it and drop it all, and there was this whole big conspiracy theory that was part of this whole QAnon thing, which also appeared, rather recently. This is kind of like when all this other conspiracy stuff started coming out on the internet. They realized that the real information was just like too much, and more people started researching this stuff. They needed to distract the public with bullshit, as best and as long as possible. I really feel like that's when
I know.
A lot of channels are going to get banned.
It is depressing, bro.
But that's why I'm trying to get a lot of this information out.
I'm just trying to keep myself occupied.
On an actual basis, and try to get everything right and sort out the bullshit out of people. Because there's a lot of bullshit out there. So the QAnon thing was, I believe, controlled opposition from the start, and this whole, especially with I mean, think about it. The whole slogan. What does this mean? WWG. Where we go one, we go all. That's the motto of the sheep. So literally, it was a sheep herding operation.
Yeah, try not to lie down, because once I'm lying down, that's me done for the day, and I won't move. So if I start lying down at like 1 a.m., 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be asleep by 3 in the afternoon, and then I'll be awake at midnight. Then I end up streaming all night, because I've been up I'm up all night because I slept all day because I had nothing to do.
We made a whole bunch of predictions that there were going to be these mass arrests.
And you do, yeah.
This big grand Pizzagate conspiracy. So they took all these, the evidence of, elite pedophile rings, and that have existed, So evidence of elite pedophile rings has kind of come out in the past and kind of been rumored about and talked about and kind of, even stuff within Hollywood that's kind of come out in the last couple of years and stuff. So there's a couple of pedophiles that are around, and there's some pedophile rings that exist within elite circles and stuff, and have existed. And then they started this whole Pizzagate conspiracy, right? To try to umbrella the whole thing, so that it's all, it's one, that they're all involved with it, and it's all under one big umbrella. It's not like distinct groups and distinct individuals. Epstein had his little operation going on with Ghislaine Maxwell that they were running for years and stuff. And I think that there's
I know, me too, son. Yeah.
Things like this that are going on, especially when you think
about
billionaires and have just godly amounts of money and the kinds of freaks that circle around those types of.
No, you can moan all you want. Let it out, Sanya. Let it out. Just let it out.
What if one of these, real creeps had billions of dollars?
We're billionaires.
Yeah, well, I always lie down, bro. I know. Well, try not to now. I fucking used to just lie down all the time.
Anyways, this is the most darkest parts of our society.
Just watch TV in bed. Or YouTube in bed.
And that's, of course, what they call anyone who disagrees with them or speaks out against them. You're automatically a pedophile. But anyways, enough with that. Let's talk about, I want to talk a little bit more, wrap up about some of the stuff, how these people.
I do, bro. I do try on the morning.
Let's go get deeper. Who wants to go deeper on the deep state?
Let's go deeper.
Oh, you're starting to think I'm part of the disinfo game. All right, let's go deeper then. Okay, you guys ready to go deeper? We're going to talk about 3 organizations: Rand Corporation, Patel.
I told you this guy's fucking knows his stuff.
And we're going to talk about. Let's do a video first.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best to cut that whole down, bro. Please don't drink. I had a drink on you, yeah, I was fucking mortal. I was streaming as well.
Okay. Let's watch this about the Rand National Security Research Division. So this is the Rand Corporation.
I'm hungry. I'm still hungry. What should I get?
They're one of these big national,
12,000 steps. Good job, Sanya.
And that kind of absolves them from any one set of ideas.
Exercise is best. Take vitamin D.
Pick a subject and let's go with it. That way we can do think tanks and stuff. So this is one of the big pieces of the puzzle. We talk about this is only one half, but this is the politics side, which mostly what we covered, and that's why some guys are like, some of it's just
vitamin D does help.
This John G. Trump thing. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but I'm going to talk about where the UFO file I think really is, and who I think really has the UFO file.
I've lost weight last year, a lot of weight, because I ended up getting really fucking overweight.
Never had a piece of that. I'll tell you one of the institutes that did, though. It's called Princeton. And the guy I think got a hold of all this stuff and did have access to it was not Vannevar Bush. It was their guy, right? Vannevar Bush is their guy because he's a Bush, right? Vannevar Bush, right? He was head of MIT. He was a big technology guy back in the 40s. Damn right. He definitely was involved in the Manhattan Project and a bunch of other stuff that was going on at the time, right? He died in '74 in Belmont, Mass. But he worked at MIT throughout his life. And this is the guy that they think got the UFO file. That's not the guy who got the UFO file. I'm sorry, dude. Sorry, DJ. Sorry, Joseph Farrell. The guy who got the UFO file, I believe, was a guy named John Archibald Wheeler.
Oh, sorry.
John Archibald Wheeler worked for Princeton University. He's also got a 62-page FBI file, but most of which is still redacted.
Never had a beer pot.
And
a beer belly.
Patel.
Yeah.
Patel organization. Let's go play this video. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Yeah, drink. I might wait and get another fucking Indians tonight. I'm starving.
Complicated and ever-changing.
Whether it's cyber, whether it's the importance of space, whether it's hybrid warfare.
Non-state actors.
Failing states.
The Iranian nuclear issue.
Shifting demographics, aging populations, shifting ideologies.
Proxies,
Alexa, light on.
information operations.
The threat that's
Alexa,
presented by bad
light
actors
on.
in cyberspace.
This is the new warfare.
They make for a very complex and in some cases dangerous mix. Many states are trying to.
Yeah, I can fit back into my baggy jeans now.
The National Security Research Division works on the toughest challenges in defense and national security.
When clients under Rand's National Security Research Division, they are looking for facts, an understanding of what the objective truth of a question is. They're looking for quality.
In-depth research and analysis to help them make decisions about the future. The challenges that we face are multifaceted, multidimensional. Military and defense expertise is not always enough.
we have to look at the deeper socioeconomic and political and cultural challenges facing us.
We have multidisciplinary teams that bring unique perspectives.
On any given research team, you might have an economist or a policy analyst, a sociologist,
Technical backgrounds, operational backgrounds,
Data scientists, political scientists, and chemists and physicists.
academic backgrounds, government backgrounds as well.
They share the common trait of objectivity and research capability, but they have capability across a really broad range of different topics.
It's much more than just sitting at a desk and writing a report. It's actually going out into the field.
We help our clients with a broad range of issues, how to maintain their industrial base and the workforce.
Hello, Siobhan.
We
You're
also
back.
help our clients understand how to buy things more effectively.
You're 5'1".
Save billions of dollars.
Imagine that's what you get, you're a man.
Retain and compensate the people that need to provide for defense and national security.
We're constantly trying to shape our recommendations.
Yeah, that guy is a big dude.
The way countries manage their institutions. So, deep state. Let's talk a
And
little bit
very
more
cool
about
as well.
deep state and the history of deep state.
Very ultra
We can
cool.
go back to the history of the intelligence agencies, I guess, the OSS. Another
Oh,
guy
hello,
I
Shorty.
should mention with Kennedy assassination.
That guy is huge.
This guy named, who did JFK fire? Alan Dulles. Okay, Alan Dulles is a
Alan
really interesting
Dulles
character.
was interesting.
Whole picture.
Now, I don't know about this dude. He did MK Ultra. Wow.
He was the assassination chairman for the, he was basically JFK's worst enemy, head of the CIA. JFK fired him as head of the CIA. He went to go work as a lawyer and for the, and then he was hired as the guy that had the investigation into JFK's assassination. I mean, how much more deep state and serious can you get? So it's not that I'm trying to forget names. There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff to research on this. On these people. So yeah, he was a Black Knight of Malta. That's interesting to know. Apparently, there's another secret society at Cornell. It's the Cornell Secret Society.
Oh, I didn't know Cornell. How's Cornell notes? Cornell have their own note-taking system for law.
No, Sphinx Head. Sphinx Head. Maybe.
I don't know. There's another one. There's a couple of them around. But anyways, there's even other colleges out there that people don't even know about, where all the really smart kids that are really smart kids go. So there's like special colleges just for those kids that people don't even know about. I don't know if I should mention that college. Should I mention that college? It's a very small college. I don't know if I want to put those kids out there like that, But let's we know who killed Kennedy, blah blah blah. All right, cool. So let's talk about more about this whole who's got the secrets on the JFK on the UFO file and stuff. Who's got the real secrets and what are they? Why did JFK and RFK get killed for? And why is there so many connections to the
Oh, no.
aerospace industry and what are they protecting? And I think a lot of it goes back to the origins of the CIA and the NSA. So that we also need to know about the different intelligence agencies. So let's go look up the intelligence agencies, because the intelligence agencies are a big part of.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Siobhan, man. Unlucky.
And let's find this patch.
So what's going to happen to the puppy?
So
Has to be
military
put to
intelligence
sleep.
agencies, the one for the Marine Corps, the Navy. This is the National Security Agency, CIA, Department of Homeland Security now. Wait, this is the FBI. Sorry, this is the CIA. This is the FBI. FBI has its own intelligence agency. The Coast Guard, I guess, has its own intelligence agency. The Army, of course. The Department of Energy in the United States of America. This one was the one that did the Manhattan Project. They're a big one in terms of physics and scientific intelligence. The Air Force.
2 seconds.
You know, go over all the different departments. The National Reconnaissance Office and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency are the two real big ones. Those are the ones that do all the satellite tracking and data collection, the big data stuff. There's also
I thought there was someone at the door.
The NSA room.
It can't have any major issues with it like that. It can't. No, you're right.
Basically took the AT&T International
Yep.
Data Network link for all the AT&T.
Oh, she's going to get a loving home though. That's good.
International cable. They took a T. They took a T and split it right into the copy of all the transmission signals going out in and out of that room.
No, you can't breed it, can you?
And of course, all those signals go through signals intelligence computers where they tap and analyze that data using keywords and strings and intelligence and stuff to figure out what they should monitor, and they monitor everything for certain keywords and all that kind of stuff. But okay, let's get into maybe some more nuts and bolts of intelligence collection. There's a couple. We talked about the other organization, Falcon and the Snowman. They had this was based on a real story. If you want to look up the real intelligence story of this, there's a movie on it on that too. There's a couple of interesting things on the life of this. What's that guy's actual name?
Next week.
Christopher Boyce. Yeah, Christopher John Boyce. So I don't know where he is now, but I guess he's still alive, and they went talked to him and stuff. So yeah, he's age 67. I guess this is the Falcon. He still flies Falcons out somewhere. They did it there's a video of them when they meet up with this dude. But he worked for TRW. You can check him out. There's tons of stuff that we can get into where you can get into deep state stuff in here. And it's not really a conspiracy, but it's just the smartest people and the control over the information, and who has control over the information, where the information goes. We have little windows into this whole world because of people like John Boyce. And Edward Snowden and others. So, Snowden documents reveal a lot about the program.
Yeah, I'm sure you would, but for breeding. At least someone else will love it though, Siobhan. It's going to go somewhere else, It will go. We'll get a loving home. Yeah. Sunny, right? I believe, yeah.
That's super scary.
But I mean, it's no good to your home because you need it for breeding. But it's fine for someone else.
Livermore National Labs, Brookhaven. I could go to Lincoln Labs. I don't think that's on here though. No, it's not.
Lincoln Labs
is not on there, so they're not managed by Battelle, which is interesting. But a lot of these other big laboratories are super managed by Battelle, and this Washington Group International stuff. Battelle's got their hand. They're big metallurgists. They're big deep state guys that have done a lot of metallurgy work, and it's interesting. They appear in a couple different places. Mick West was saying, someone was asking, is there any connection between 9/11 and UFOs? Right? That was a weird question, right? Can anyone name a connection between 9/11 and UFOs? If you study conspiracy theory. Yeah, Robbie Martin. I still talk to Robbie Martin.
Yeah, that's nice, Siobhan. Off of that.
I should get him on a schedule. I got a couple of people scheduled. I'm starting to get some time stamps too. I get people scheduled on for interviews, and a lot of them I'm going to be doing just shooting the shit with people and recording it and then editing it down, and doing more edited stuff so we can get more people. Because I want to get more people on to talk about.
Yeah, me too.
Like this and
I would.
The real, nitty-gritty of the science. And talk about. I wanted to get into these labs because this is a whole nother level of the intelligence is where you get into the specific stuff, and this is where you if you want to talk about SAPs, right? Special access programs. Well, this is where all the special access programs, kind of are. And we'll give some examples of stuff that came from special access programs, including the most recent thing that I showed in this. I showed briefly in the last stream from last night, but I thought that maybe we should spend a little bit more time going over it because it's got a lot of great stuff together in it. Where is it now? I think it's in the description. Let me find another document though. We're going to go over this one. So the squeeze states was a big thing, and it was super interesting to that my archivist Sean found this.
Until we ended up with an army of cats, you couldn't say no.
It's either coherent
light and coherent matter.
That's nice. So it's
how
good that there are people like that in the world that help animals. It's less suffering in the world,
to find more stuff linking Battelle and also John Wheeler to Battelle and the squeeze states research is just all the better. And I thought that was super key because this is one of those special access program type things. And I know. There's a lot of rumors that allegedly the
did it recover?
Roswell. All right, I have a whole file here. I'm putting together on Roswell. I'll be releasing a video on that. I think in a month or so. I'm gonna edit it all down and work it into a real nice video on Roswell with this material I've got working on. But if you go back to the Roswell file, you'll know that the material was shipped to Wright-Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally stored in an underground facility. They literally built the whole underground facility and a whole institute right next to the air base. They built a whole university right after 1947, and it was off the grid. It was really weird. There's a lot of, even today, there's a lot of rumors about the tunnels, what the tunnels were built for and what they were used for, and I think that there's a lot of rumors that these tunnel systems were built to, and the whole building complex was built
Ohio.
to, these kinds of exotic materials. That this was the brew room originally. Ray-Patterson, that it was moved to somewhere else, allegedly,
Wow.
According to Bob Lazar, it was moved to S4, a special section of Area 51, where all the alien stuff was kept. It wasn't really, that stuff wasn't kept on the normal base. It was kept at this other secret location, which might not be far off from the truth. That this stuff is probably kept somewhere else now. Definitely, people got. Senator Barry Goldwater got a little too close to this material. A lot of metallurgists from Battelle have come forward. Their families have come forward and talked about their work on some of this stuff. And we trace it back to some of these progress reports. So that's the interesting stuff that we have on Battelle. We've really got to get a hold of the first progress report and get a copy of that. We can get a copy of that
and see what that shows. That would be super interesting if it showed, to see what, because there's a lot of later reports that refer back to it with regards to, progress. It's a progress report. They're working on something. They got a hold of something, and they're working on trying to figure out what it was. And they had these materials kept. There's a lot of evidence for this that happened after this, and there's a lot of interesting scientists that were allegedly involved, including John von Neumann, who wrote a paper on self-replicating space probes right after Roswell. So whatever he saw out there inspired him to write a paper on self-replicating space probes. Alleging that he was out there. I mean, he was a Manhattan Project scientist, had top secret security clearances, and would have been, one of the guys that I think that, I would have brought, out there if I could have, couldn't think of a better person, a couple people one of the guys they allegedly they brought a bunch of these paperclip scientists out, including this guy Papa J. Riedel, this German rocket scientist. Was one of the guys who was brought out there, and he did the ballistics and trajectory analysis on it. And there's not a lot of pictures of this dude. He's a real, back end paper clipper. Some of these paper clippers did have some interesting things to say about aliens and stuff, including von Braun's right hand man, Dr. Ernst Steinhoff. Of course, we know that a lot of the generals and a lot of the people connected with the Roswell thing later, that we have Captain Robert B. McLaughlin from the U.S. Navy who spoke out about materials that he, handled or looked at for the Navy on behalf of the Navy in relation that he thought they were the Roswell debris because he'd never seen anything like it before or after that. And it was weird material, weird metal that was, you could bend and fold and do all this stuff with, A number of people talked about this stuff, but not the people that had access to that were doing the investigations for the government. They never had access to this stuff. It was always kept secret and kept out of their reach. Well, they could do their, reporting on Project Blue Book and their analysis. So, interesting if this is true that there was some alien or some debris, some of these space probe. It's not hard to imagine that there might be space probes from Type 3 civilizations flying around out there, and that our government might have come across and recovered one once in the past, and that they decided that it's something so advanced that they shouldn't reveal it or talk about it. But we're digging through that now. We know that there's been lots of lies told, that the government is going to do a report in the next 180 days on the UFO file. Right, 180 days they have apparently since this, there was some legislation passed. What is it? U.S. intelligence officials have 180 days to release information on UFOs. So in the national KQRE, it's all thanks to the $2.3 trillion COVID-19 relief and government spending bill. So part of our COVID-19 relief is that, to be relieved from COVID, we all have to know the truth about UFOs too. So the government now and the intelligence officials now have 180 days from the signing of this bill to give an unclassified report about the aircrafts. The report needs to contain analysis of any UFO data as well as name any possible secure threats they pose. So this is going to be a directed report. They're not going to have access to these secret organizations' records or their files, like the classified research that Battelle did. They want to subpoena and know everything. If the intelligence agencies want a good lead to look, it would be that first progress report from Battelle to look for and get that declassified. That's what we need to move toward, getting that out. I think that would be the most key thing that we could do strategically as a as an organization, or as a move. If the UFO community could do that as a community, UFO Twitter and even though those guys are mostly half brain dead. Sorry. 180 days to burn the records. Yes, disclosure. No, dude, it's not. We can expect 6 months of absolute hell from here on out, dude. It's true, man. Still waiting on JFK's murder info, dude. How do we have this many people in the chat? Like, this is crazy. 196 watching live. I wasn't even paying attention, man. This is awesome. You guys rock. Thank you for being here with me. Can you smash that like button for me and share this video so we can get more people red pilled? Let's keep going. Let's keep going deeper. I want to get real into some. I want to just start naming deep state organizations that people can go and do research on. All right. So another thing that came out is that when Edward Snowden got hired for the NSA and went to work for them, right? He didn't get hired through, he didn't get hired just directly. You didn't apply to the NSA and just get hired by the NSA. You don't just send he applied to Booz Allen Hamilton and got a job at Booz Allen Hamilton. And then that's what got him, hooked into the NSA and all these people. So not to say that everyone at the Booz Hamilton, Allen Hamilton works for the CIA, the NSA and the intelligence agencies, but you're definitely under their umbrella if you're working for them, for sure. They're one of the big ones. Another one is Brown Brothers Harriman. They're another one of these old school money, big banking, people. The usual suspects. So Brown Brothers Harriman, right? So another big bank, Solomon Smith Barney. So Solomon Smith Barney's another one of those old big Solomon Brothers, right? So their old headquarters was in Building 7 of the World Trade Center, which collapsed on 9/11, and they used to have they do interfinancial banking and stuff, and they were actually on their board of directors. Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney both sat on the financial advisory board for Solomon Smith Barney's foreign policy advisory board. They were one. I think Donald Rumsfeld was the director and Cheney was a board member. And they quit right before 9/11 to join the Bush administration. And then a couple months later, that building where they both worked in for Solomon Smith Barney mysteriously fell down in a pile of rubble that was cleaned up immediately by Mayor Rudy Giuliani. In case anyone forgot about that. But anyways, let's move on to some other bankers and so anyone knows about Wachovia. So they got fined a whole bunch of money for so this is what happens with the big banks, that they launder you launder like $60 billion worth of cartel drug money, and you get slapped with a $5 million fine or $10 million fine, So you make a couple billion in profit, and then you pay like a couple $1 million in fines, and it's like, oh, we paid our punishment. Oh, so sorry. Well, we're just a bank, so it's not a human entity. It's just our bank that did that, and it's you can't really charge anyone here at the bank for being at fault. They didn't know it was drug money when they were taking it. They're just tellers and stuff. Our employees, so you can't hold and there's no. So they can't hold the directors accountable. They just pay a fine, and the drug dealers and their money launderers are allowed to continue the operation with almost no penalty at all. We had to pay a little tax on some of the money we made. Oh well. So anyways, that goes on. That happens. The drugs and the oil are a big piece of the pie with the big money pictures. But let's talk more about these private interest organizations and some of these players. Anyone ever heard of? So let's name some of these companies that have existed over the years. Some of the CIA front companies, and whatnot. Permindex. Anyone ever heard of Permindex? The company that the company that killed JFK, basically. The International Trade Mart in New Orleans. So this Guy Bannister was running this Guy Bannister's office, and Dave Ferry was this go-between with Guy Bannister, and this was they were involved with Clay Shaw, and this is what Jim Garrison found as the district attorney in New Orleans when Jim Garrison began investigating the JFK assassination, and became convinced that it was big. It was part of a much larger organized crime conspiracy involving the Central Intelligence Agency and some of these deep state players who he began to himself uncover in the process of his investigation into the JFK assassination, and then attempted to alert the American public.
With that comment there,
met with the force of the CIA's Operation Market Force,
which made an absolute fool out of Jim Garrison as best they could. His story wasn't really successfully recovered in the mainstream press and the media until 1991 with the movie JFK by was it Oliver Stone? Yeah, by Oliver Stone, and the movie JFK where Kevin Costner plays the role of Jim Garrison in the movie. And that movie was definitely got a lot of people to rethink about the JFK assassination and almost reopened interest. And they released a couple more. They started releasing documents basically after that. They said, well, we're going to release documents until like 2000 something, until all the people when all the people are really dead from who might have been involved in this, including Henry Kissinger and George H.W. Bush has just died last year.
Yes, Mystic was streaming yesterday. Yeah. That's all I know. Who was in there? I think Dream was talking to him. I only watched for like a couple of seconds, but yeah, he was streaming.
The year before. It was the year before. Sorry, but the end of 2019, I think. But anyways, JFK, the film, Oliver Stone, Herman Dex. Let's talk about some other companies. Silverstream. Silverstream and Richard Grove, you can look up. That's another interesting story. That he was working for a company called Silverstream. They were doing like blockchain software. These read worm drives and a way of keeping accounting in the exchange market with computers. And they had these things set up inside the World Trade Center. We're running all these computer systems and stuff for the World Trade Center. He says that he found evidence of a backdoor in their system where, like, they could dump files and do like weird computer transactions with this software. Tried to bring it to his advisors. He was told to bring all his evidence to the World Trade Center on the morning of 9/11. And luckily, he missed the meeting, because when he got there in New York, there was already a plane crashed into the 93rd tower, 93rd floor. He was supposed to be in a meeting on the 91st floor. And he would have been, or actually, he was supposed to be on a meeting on the 97th floor, and he would have been stuck above it, up in the higher floors, at the very top of the tower when the plane hit. If he had been time for the meeting, that was a very interesting story that with all this buried in the history books and in the archives. There's a couple other ones. I could go on with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
To the 90s. Let's talk more about Patel. And Patel also patented one of the interesting patents you come across. You go through all the Patel patents and stuff, and I came across this one while doing research on 9/11 actually, and they patented. They patented like nanothermite cutter linear shape charges and cutter charges for demolition. Basically, that's what this is. It's a way to cut steel and melt steel with Patel filed that. That's interesting. They're metallurgy experts, and they'd be able to make micro and nanothermite and composite. What is it? Difference. I have a graphic. Find that graphic if I can find it to show the difference between this stuff. There's a guy, a researcher named Stephen Sun, who worked on this at Los Alamos at the time. This guy, Stephen Sun, Los Alamos. He did the research on the method, the sol gel method for creating the aluminum part of it, the powderized nano-aluminum part of thermite. And he worked at that on Los Alamos National Labs. And the company that ran security over the labs at the time was a company called Stratasec Corporation. Stratasec's an interesting corporation. Connected to the Burns and Rowe Securicom. They did electronic security at the World Trade Center, Dulles Airport, and United Airlines. So basically 3 out of the 4 planes that were hijacked on 9/11 were hijacked out of locations where they ran security. And then they were flown into buildings where they ran security. And Marvin Bush was on the board of directors and served on the board of directors from 93 to 2000. A couple of other interesting people involved in this. Kroll
Yeah, I heard him talking about weed.
They were a risk management firm that did some risk management consulting work at the World Trade Center on 9/11. Very interesting.
He won't change, of course not. I've said it a million times, until he accepts he has an alcohol problem, bro, he can't change.
Which were against senators.
U.S. senators.
He needs to recognize he even has a problem before he can change, bro.
Official investigation into 9/11.
So as the senators were calling for the government to investigate 9/11, they got hit with anthrax, and the guy from Kroll was hired to investigate that whole thing.
I just got a deja vu there.
Some interesting people on Kroll's board, but more interesting I thought was the Washington Group International. Some of these other Washington Group International. There's another company that worked in the World Trade Center that I came across in my research. One of these big name companies tied to some interesting things, including Bush's cousin.
You're still completely in denial, bro.
Anyways, their competitors include Bechtel and Jacobs Engineering Group. They're another one to look into in regards to that. The other one is Marsh McLennan, and Marsh McLennan was the main tenant inside of the World Trade Center. So you guys, if you want to look into this all, I worked with a guy named Jonathan Cole, a family member of mine, and if you go on 9/11 blog, or you'll find his blog. It's stuff's hard to find unless you really know what this is. You'll never stumble across this information on your own, doing your own research. Some of this stuff that I participated in directly and worked with these individuals. It's really obscure stuff, but this is I'll copy this for people to go see, so they can go to it directly. And this is where you guys can download all the forensics analysis and blueprints of the World Trade Centers. And,
Oh, wow.
The tenants and everyone involved in all that research, if you want to get into 9/11 research and see the 9/11 research that I've done. On Deep State 9/11 stuff. These guys are very useful because they'll tell you who occupied what floor.
Wow.
What kind of work they did, who else they're connected to, and what kind of work they did.
Interesting, that.
Mick West called this a spurious dot connecting. He said, I don't do the spurious dot connecting kind of work that you guys do. I'm like, well, that's like just basic forensics, dude. That's like just crime scene analysis. It's like a crime scene happened, these houses were destroyed, and we just kind of like went.
Look at that.
Who was present, who was there. And it's not just spurious dot connecting, really, because there's a lot of interesting dots that are not like I hardly call it spurious. Because here's one interesting dot, right? So right on the floors, right where the plane, American Airlines Flight 11, crashed right into the security computer room of Marsh McLennan. And one of the guys that was the CEO of Marsh McLennan wasn't in his office that day. He skipped work that day.
Wow.
And do you know where he was? Because I'll show you where he was.
Where was he?
Oh, God. Let me open this. I'm going to open this right now and show you where this guy was. This is quite interesting. A lot of people don't know this about, but this is the first announced. This is where Bin Laden was first mentioned on TV the morning of 9/11. So everyone wants to know where the official story was first declared and first set in stone on national television the morning of 9/11. This was it.
Wow.
This was scrubbed from the internet for many years. This was Google video for like the 3 years after 9/11, where they covered up the crime. But watch this. This is how the CIA instilled this in the American public's mindset.
You're a terrorism expert, and talk to us a little bit about who could. I mean, there are a limited number of groups who could be responsible for something of this magnitude.
Yes, this is a very well planned, very well coordinated attack, which suggests it's very well
organized centrally, and there are only 3 or 4 candidates in the world really who could conduct this attack.
Bin Laden comes to mind right away.
Indeed, he certainly does. Bin Laden was involved in the first attack on the World Trade Center, which had as its intention doing exactly what happened here, which was the collapse of those towers. He certainly has to be a prime suspect, but there are others in the Middle East, and there are at least 2 states, Iran and Iraq, which should at least remain on the list.
Interesting that he blames Iran and Iraq.
How could something like this be put together?
Well, you have to have, first of all, you've got to find people who are willing to die, which is not that easy. And then, of course, they have to find ways around what we thought was pretty good security at our airports. We haven't had hijacking in a long time, let alone before. So there had to have been some very good coordination. There has to have been coordination in the whole planning of the attack. People, if they were not Americans, had to get visas to get into the United States. They needed false identities, probably to buy airplane tickets. They needed cars to get to the airport. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that hadn't happened.
Good.
Well, with as many resources as our government and our allies, the governments around the world, devote to studying terrorism and knowing what's going on and what they're planning, you have to wonder how something of this magnitude, how this could take place without any warning or any hint that it was coming.
First of all, the intelligence against terrorists is the hardest intelligence there is. Yeah. Basically, you have to have a spy in the terrorist group who's willing to talk for whatever reason. It's the hardest intelligence there is. The National Commission on Terrorism, which I chaired last year, made as our key recommendation a much more vigorous effort to try to get terrorist spies and informing on their colleagues. Every time there's a major terrorist attack, it is automatically, of course, an intelligence failure. That's by definition. But I'm sympathetic to the problem about how you get good intelligence on these people. It's not easy. There is an intelligence failure here. There's a massive security failure before Richmond being hijacked. Same number, 2 from Dulles Airport here. So there's a lot of lessons that are going to have to be learned. But first, we've got to find out who did it.
Mr. Burton, I want to speak to that for a second. When the Oklahoma City incident occurred, the immediate response from a lot of people was that it came from some kind of terrorist. Is there any reason why we
I think so, Sonia. Yeah, there's only 2 people here now. I'm sitting here falling asleep.
Hard intelligence, apparently, we don't have any forensic evidence, is motivations and capabilities. And so when I list 4 potential groups, I'm working mostly for motivations and proven capabilities.
This is interesting, though.
It doesn't mean that you can exclude some other kind of group that would come out and order and done this, but at least as a working hypothesis in the first chaotic hours after this attack, you have to start somewhere. You have to start with what you know about the past and get you with that motive.
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that the president said today about
Yeah, me too, Sonia. I need a nap. I'm going to sleep for a bit. I'll be back tonight. I'll be back on my main channel hopefully tonight.
is it to be assumed that the first thing that we have to figure out is to identify the
Oh, I thought it was yeah, Stu, I'm tired myself, bro. I'm going to go to sleep. I will talk to you all tonight. Have a great day, everybody. I'll be back on my other channel tonight. Bye-bye.